Hello, hello, how you doing? Hey, I'm just coming to hang out with you for a moment. Want to share a little something with you. I don't call myself a baker. By the way, if you don't know, I'm Kip, cooking with Kip. Hey, I don't call myself a baker, uh, but I love to bake. So I want to share a recipe with you. I'm always doing, whether it be some rolls, I do these little cinnamon rolls, I do some garlic twists, yeast bread. So this basic recipe that I'm getting ready to share with you is the platform where I take all of those, whether I'm going with cinnamon rolls or I'm going with the yeast bread, or sometimes I make brioche, so I add a little bit more sugar and some, to make it, or a little bit more egg to make it a little bit, how should I say, sweeter on the bread, and I fluff it up a little bit more with the contents that I put in it. But this is the basic recipe that I use for my basic baked yeast bread. Okay, so we're gonna get started with it. That's cool. So let's go. So I got some simple ingredients. I got some flour. I'm using about 4.5 cups of flour. It's about 4 cups, and I'll see where the dough is from that point. And then I have what all I got here? About 6 tablespoons of butter. I try to use a little unsalt butter so I can control the salt content. A cup of milk, a tablespoon of yeast, tablespoon of sugar, a couple of teaspoons of salt, and if I didn't mention, 2 eggs as well. So first thing I do really is I gotta sorry for me turning my back on it, for to get the yeast activated, you got to have it at a certain temperature, usually between 105 to 115. So you got a little range there. So I use the pot. If it's a cup of milk, about 45 seconds, depending on your strength of your microwave, that will usually help. But I pop it in the mic for a while, get it up to temp, and then I take the tablespoon of yeast, which I have measured out, and a tablespoon of sugar. And both of those, the sugar actually helps to activate that yeast. So that's the process. And once I'll put that into the milk, um, that's going to allow, and you can use water with this as well, uh, but it's going to allow the um, the yeast to activate, to ferment, and get excited and bubbling. So what I do after I do pop it in there, I check the temperature of it. If it's not where it's need to be, I can always pop it in a little bit longer, or if it's a little too hot, I can hold off for a minute. And it's at 115. I kid you not. It's at 114.8. So I'm in the game. So I've done it enough to know that a cup of milk, about 45 seconds, is going to be where it needs to be. So I'm just going to put this in um, my mixing bowl. You can mix this by hand too. I'm using my KitchenAid mixer, but of course you could use that as well to just mix it up by hand or stand mixer at first to get everything going, and then you have to knead it. But my KitchenAid would do some of the kneading for me, and I like to do some with the hand as well. So I got that in. So the next thing I do is take my yeast and my sugar, and I like to shake it up to mix up the sugar and the yeast, and I pour it in there into my hot liquid, and I just take a whisk and toss it around a little bit just to mix it up. And that's going to process or activate for about 5 minutes. So sometimes I get sidetracked. So what I do, you can either look at your clock, look at your watch, or you know what I do? I put a timer on. Then I know for sure I'm going to have a reminder, and I'm going to continue to wipe my little table because I sanitized it, and I have a sanitized towel here. And I'm going to have to dry it off as well because I'm going to need my bread right here. I sanitize my working station so I can just work right off of this. Of course, you can put down some plaster wrap, wax paper, whatever. You sanitize your work surface, and you all have all kind of craziness going on, you'll be okay with that. So I got that in the microwave for a minute, and then I'm going to use my 4 cups of flour, which I already have. I use bread flour for this. You can use regular all-purpose, but I actually buy some bread flour because of the baking that I do from time to time. And I've actually sifted it because I wanted it lighter. And so I have that ready. I have my eggs, I have my butter, everything is ready. So once you get all your ingredients together, for me making bread, the longest process is getting my ingredients together, which is called mise en place, gathering all your ingredients, that's French, and get all that stuff together, and then waiting on the process, waiting on this, the fermentation process, and then the proofing of the bread. So once you get it together, then you just gotta kind of sit it to the side, without, draft free, and let it do its due. So for me, usually when I'm baking, I try to have my kitchen, whether it's at home or, workplace, whatever, I want it to be at a certain temperature. And usually if you're in the kitchen, you got this stuff going on, you're gonna be at a certain temperature. So I want it to, me personally, be between 75 and 80 degrees. That's kind of warm, I know, but it helps it speeds up the process. Bread can actually be, it can be done overnight as well. You can just wrap it up, put a little plastic wrap on it, grease your bowl, put it in the refrigerator the next day, boom, do the same thing. But I'm not patient enough for that. So I got about 2.5 more minutes, a little over 2.5 more minutes waiting. So we're going to, and like I said, with this recipe, I go in many different directions. I can roll it out and make cinnamon rolls. I sometimes put garlic and make garlic rolls out of it, or I'll do the same thing and roll it out like I'm rolling cinnamon rolls with less sugar, of course, and paint it with my little pastry brush with heavy garlic and butter, cut it into strips and make these little garlic twists. So there's several different directions I go with a simple bread recipe. So the reason I'm doing this recipe and sharing with you, I think it's called, you get intimidated with the baking process. And it's a chemical situation. So it really, if you just, have the ingredients, you have the right recipe, it's not that hard. And you have patience, it's not that hard. And one of the best things to do, which I'm not doing it today, I do have one. I weigh out my ingredients a lot of times, so they're more accurate, because cups, measurements are different and all that. And another thing which is very important in the baking process, part of the country that you live, or the world that you live in, humidity, dry air, humid air, all that stuff comes into place when it comes to baking. So it can change a lot of dynamics of your bread. So once you get used to the baking process, you'll be able to see the dough and feel it. And through trial and error, you'll see that you said, well, I need a little bit more or less of my liquid product into my dry or whatever to determine the consistency. I want mine to be a little bit sticky. I found that if the dough is more stickier, it ends up a little lighter and fluffier. And that's my story, because, like I said, I wasn't formally trained in baking, but I do a lot of reading, a lot of study, and follow a lot of different bakers, and I steal different stuff from me that they share. So guess what? I'm sharing with you, so you can steal it from me and call it your own. Okay. So I got about 30 seconds on this, and my yeast is starting to activate. Back when you was in your science classes, or at whatever level you would study, put the yeast on the little, whatever you call it, those little pieces of glass, and it starts to rise with the heat. Well, that's what it's doing in the bowl right now. It's alive. It's alive. It's growing. It's puffing up. So after that, the process is going to take place pretty quick. There's my timer. I'm going to put my eggs in, and I don't have a system of which one I put in first, which one I see first. I'm going to put my eggs in, my 2 eggs. So I took the eggs, I cracked them, I scrambled them up just a little bit. Just a light scramble, just beat them up a little bit, beat them down. I got 2 eggs, I think I told you the 4 to 4.5 cups of flour, 6 ounces of butter. I melt that down, as long as it's good and soft, but I usually melt it down a little bit. 2 teaspoons of salt, and then in my mixture of yeast, it's a tablespoon of yeast, tablespoon of sugar, and a cup of milk. That's it, folks. That's all we're gonna do. So my yeast is doing its thing, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my little trusty kneading dough hook onto my mixer. And I got that on, and I'm gonna get it turned on. So I'm gonna talk loud because it's gonna make a little noise. So I put my bowl up, and I'm starting adding my ingredients. Give me a spatula. Put my eggs in. That's the 2 eggs. Put my melted butter in. Good and soften up. All right. Add a little salt. Hope you can still hear me. I can talk loud though. And then I go grab my dry ingredients. So I'm gonna go with, that's mixed up pretty good. I'm gonna go with 4 cups. And it's what you wanna do with the flour, because that's the crucial part, is I don't know if you can see this, I take the flour and I spoon it in so it's not packed into my measuring tool, my measuring cup that is, and I pour it on a little wax paper. And the reason why I pour it onto the wax paper, you'll see in just a moment, it allows me to pour the flour into a mixing bowl a whole lot easier. That's if you're using a stand-up mixer like this. Probably if you were just mixing it by hand, the wax paper wouldn't be as crucial. So that's 2 cups. I'm going to go ahead and start mixing some of this in. Cool. So the reason why I do that, I kind of hold it like that, and it just funnels right into my mixing bowl. All right. That's 2 cups. See if I can steal 2 more out of here. And after I spoon it in, I take you can take a butter knife, or a spoon, or a bench scraper, and level that cup off. I'm just leveling off the cup right now so I get a level surface. Pour it back on here. And let me get some more flour. Got a sifter in there that's in the way. Get that nice out. Okay. Flour into my measuring tool. And it's mixing up. I'm going to speed up here. I know I'm talking because I want to cover everything, but I'm going to go ahead and get everything mixed up. So that's 4 cups, right? Go ahead and get this in here. Still got a little bit in here because I just want to see where I am. After I get the dough in there, I usually speed it up a little bit because what I want to do is see the dough pull away from the bowl, and that's part of the kneading process. A whole lot quicker when you're using like a stand-up mixer like this for the dough hook. So this might be enough flour for me. I use about 3 3/4. I'm gonna go with that. I like the way it looks, and that's just judgment. And depending on where you are, that's ready. Let's see, put that over here. So I got that good. Wipe off my little table again. Make sure I don't have anything on it. And make sure it's dry. Clean surface. And from there, I am going to, hey, I'm not going away, I'm still around. Put a little flour on my working surface. so I'm gonna knead it a little bit more, probably about 2 to 3 more minutes, about 2 minutes. Get a good feel for the dough. Take my dough hook off. Scrape that out right quick. There's really no dough left in the bowl. It comes right out. From there, I'm gonna get a little flour on my hands. I think that's the big fun thing about baking. It's almost like it takes me back. I'm a country boy. Grew up in the dirt roads and all that stuff, so I got a little flour on it. Then I just start to knead it a little bit, kind of folding it over and pushing into it. And I'm looking for is a smooth surface, and I'm activating the gluten. The gluten is part of the what helps with the rising process. So the kneading is going to help that to fluff up the bread and lighten it up. And it's going to activate all the gluten. Get a little bit more flour. I don't want to add too much because I don't want to over flour it. Just knead it down. Good exercise too for the arms. So I can see the smoothness taking place. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking good. I remember as a kid just watching my mom knead some bread. I mean, she made biscuits, she kneads it. And she's made yeast rolls, still does. Her game is tight when it comes to making bread. So I enjoy watching her make it. So it's about there. I don't know if I have the camera where you can see that. What I was doing, I hope I did. But I'm just kind of pushing, if you can see my motion, I'm kind of pushing the bread and kneading it and getting it to the consistency I want. Got it there. So all the thing I'm gonna do now is take my bowl. Either you can use some spray or some shortening. I just usually take some butter, paint it in there like that. Just to grease it so the bread won't stick. Because what I'm looking for, that's the bread now. And it's gonna about pretty much double in size. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick, not going far away. It's gonna double in size. And when it does that, that's part of the proofing process. Wipe up right quick. Coming back to you. Then I'll be ready to hand roll them out, shape them up, whatever size I want to make. Loaves, if I want to make cinnamon rolls or whatever I want to make. So I'm just going to cover that up. Draft free, put it on the counter, and let it do its do. That's that process. And then usually, depending on the heat of the temperature of your kitchen, hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half, just depends on, and you're going to see it. It's going to, you look at the size that you have now and it's going to double out. And when it doubles out, you're just going to really just kind of push that air back down in it, which I have some right here that I was using earlier. So it's a smaller bowl because I put it in there because I made a half because I'm going to get all the steps done right now. So I want you to see the finished product. In fact, before I do that, I have some right here. Look, I got to get these in the oven. There they go right there. We're going to go ahead and get these in the oven. I'm going to put a little bit of butter on these too. How about that? I'm right here. I'm just painting a little butter on them. I meant to put these in a few minutes ago, and I kind of lost track of my time, didn't I? If Ty was here administrating it for me right now, I wouldn't have forgot, but she's not here at the moment. So go ahead and get those in the oven. I'm cooking them at about 375, 350. I have these at 375. So got that done. Got me some flour on my board. I'm gonna flip these out. Boom. Get that out of the way. And I've already kneaded it, so all I'm doing is punching the air down. What I try to do is kind of shape it in the direct. If I was going to roll it in a square, which I am going to do when I roll it, put it in a shape of, say, let me bring that down a little bit so y'all can see what I'm doing. So I'm just kind of patting it out. Got a little flour in my hands, not too much, but enough so the dough is not going to stick. And then I'm going to roll it just a little bit. Because after that, then I'm going to cut out, and you can hand roll it. If you got a cutter, I'm using about a 2.5 ring cutter, cookie cutter, or mold, or whatever you want to call it. Put that so I can push it out of the way. And there we go. From that little square right there, I'm probably going to get about 10 to 12 rolls. The way I'm going to cut it. Okay. So before I got a little round pan, I'm going to go ahead and butter that up. Boom. So when I get my bread ready, I can go right into the pan. Okay. So I'm just taking my little mold. If you can see that, hopefully you can. Just cutting the little circles out. Boom. That's all I'm doing. And sometimes I'll roll it a little thicker, but I'm going to let them proof for probably about an hour. So they're going to go from about like that to about like that. And then when they cook, they're going to go about like that. Okay. So I'm just cutting out the bread. And I'll, once I do this, cut these, I'll show you how to, the leftover dough, I'm gonna roll it back up and roll out some by hand as well. I enjoy doing it by hand, but I do it every now and then cutting them as well. So I got 4, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I can get 12. That's 11. There's 12. Got it. So there you go. Got my little, got them cut out. Now I'm just basically going into the pan with them. See if you can see that. Just laying them into the pan. And that took no time. I mean, like I said, the longest process of baking yeast bread is the downtime. It's waiting on stuff to rise and proof and all that good stuff. So all I'm doing is kind of placing them in here. I might have more than I need in this pan, huh? Let me see. Make them a little tighter. I all like a family in there. Okay, tighten those up a little bit. I'll make it work. So I got a dozen in this little pan. There we go. And once I get that done, again, I'm going to take my plastic wrap, cover it up because I want it to be kind of draft free. Just get it out of the way. Boom. It's out of the way over there. Actually, I put it over here by his brother. And then this little leftover dough. No, I'm not gonna throw it away. I'm just going to kind of mash it back up, kind of knead it down. Don't want to add too much flour to it to toughen up my dough. Pull that back up so we can see each other. How about that? And there we go. From here, you can just pinch it off. Who I learned that from? Mom. I just kind of pinch the bottom, roll it, and kind of knead it real quick. There's a little art to that. I've watched Mom for a long time, how she just kind of tucks her fingers in. And as I'm doing that, I'm twisting my wrist so that turn the bread at the same time. So I'm spinning this bread as I'm doing this to keep a perfect shape. And then I just like to do this. I have big hands, so I can just kind of roll it around. Boom. Hopefully you can see that. Can you see it? Can you see it? All right. So that's kind of how you hand roll it. I pinch it down like this, pinch the bottom, and then I just roll it. And kind of tuck it. This was the hardest part for me when I was growing up, learning how Mom would just kind of take her hand and spin it like that. I mean, I think that's just talking about artisanal and handmade and learning from the pros. That's the art of it right there. Is I mean, those are the dying arts. You know, we teach our kids to go and get great educations, and we all want them to have those master's degrees, doctor's degrees, PhD, everything. But sometimes we fail on teaching them these things. These are things here, these dying arts like this. I mean, or you may not want to make a living at it, but at least it's something that will never die. And that's the great thing about stuff like this. It never dies when you learn from it. So I'm so glad I had a mother to show me these things. So let me wash that off my hands, see how the bread is doing. All right. So that's where it's at. And I'll put that in a different pan. Oh my goodness. I should have put that in when we started. The bread is looking so good. I mean, it's looking unbelievable. So while that's doing this thing, I'll talk about some of the things about bread that's to me that's pretty cool. Baking, I think, again, let me find a pan to put those in. Get them out of the way. Just so they'll be out of our way and I don't forget about them. Put that over there. And I can wipe up as we're talking, right? Baking is a science, it's an art. And so everything has to be pretty much accurate. Either it's accurate or you gotta there's an accuracy in the measuring unless you're in different zones, and then you gotta just know the dough. You gotta get used to what it needs to feel like, what it needs to look like. And I think if you think about any of your ancestors, your grandmothers, great-grandmothers, when they say they didn't use a recipe, well, the recipe for them, in my opinion, was knowing what it needed to look like. So in actuality, they did use a recipe, but their recipe was knowledge. They knew what it wanted to look like, what it wanted to feel like. So once you get to that point, I do that a lot with my cooking now. I know what I want it to look like. So when it looks like a certain thing, I'll adjust, because sometime in my travels, I'm cooking in different states. And so when that happens, you got to be able to adjust and know what you're dealing with, especially when it comes to bread. When you're cooking sauces and different ingredients where you cook it on the skillet and pot, you just go with it. You know what, you put the stuff in and you taste it is right. But baking is a little different. Can't do that with breads and cakes. It's more of a science. It's not gonna turn out just the way you want it to if you just throw some stuff in there. Okay, and not have it measured out and ready to go at the right components. Okay, so here's what I'm probably gonna do. I'm gonna show you the bread while it's baking, and then I'll have to post a picture of the final product. That's cool? Because I don't want you to just hang out and do nothing with me. Oh man, it looks so great. I mean, it looks good. I got to change my light in my oven. But I can't let air hit it. The bread looks great. Let me see if I can get you a little shot of it. I wish you could see it a little better. There it is right there. It's coming along real good, if you can see that. If that makes any sense to you. I don't even know if you could see that. I just had to point it to it. I guess I probably should have flipped the camera. But that's the bread. And I'm going to post the final product up within the next 15 minutes, right after this video. So I do the video and I'll put the post of the bread right after it. So it's Cooking with Kip, breaking fresh bread. And boy, the house smells. The aroma. I love what it do. You know, these are the things like this that surely and truly put a smile on my face. Hey, it's been fun. Just hanging out with you just for a moment. It wasn't live, we recorded it. But hey, you gotta learn and we gotta share. Have a good day, y'all. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.